Laura, I think. Hi, Elise. I believe Laura should be coming.
I'll keep an eye out for her. And
Okay.
folks, we are live now, so, and we are recording.
Okay.
So no going off on rants.
Okay. Should we wait a minute to see if,
Give it a second for Lauren to show up,
yeah, she usually,
and I can do my spiel then now, which is I want to apologize to everyone, both commissioners and applicants. I was in a conference in Chicago, and I did not put the meeting into my calendar. And so even though I set up the meeting and it was all set up, it wasn't in my, oh, you can't see my phone, Zoom calendar. So it never rang to say, you have a meeting starting in 15 minutes. And so it's like, but here we are. Sorry again for all the confusion. And we have 7 people in the room.
and so,
Lauren is not one of them, but maybe she'll join in a minute.
I see Laura.
So,
Oh, she's here.
Yep, Laura's
oh,
here.
there she is. I'm sorry. I was looking in the attendees section. Sorry. So you have the ball.
Okay. Then it being what time? 6:31 on October, what is this, 18th? This meeting, the Brockton Conservation Commission is called to order. This meeting is being conducted remotely in acceptance with Governor Healy's open meeting provisions, updated in March of 2023, which extends certain COVID-19 changes until March 31st, 2025. Real-time public participation and comment can be addressed to the Conservation Commission utilizing Zoom virtual meeting software. If you wish to comment during a public input portion of the meeting, please use the raise your hand function to be addressed at the appropriate time. For those joining by phone, please press *9 to raise your hand. Please note, all comments made are public record and should be conducted in a way that is respectful of others. Should personal or inflammatory remarks be made, the host reserves the right to mute the speaker. A copy of this recording will be available on the City of Brockton webpage. All votes will be taken by roll call vote to ensure count accuracy. In order to establish quorum, I ask that each commissioner state their first and last name for the record.
Laura Biegler here.
Peggy Curtis here.
Lily Green here.
Sharifa Mapp here.
And Joyce Vore is here. So quorum is established. Okay, good, thank you. So Ruby, I know she had a prior commitment. Okay, good, thank you. So I do want to announce before we actually get into the matters at hand that there are a list of continued hearings. Those are number 4, 540 Copeland Street, which is an ANRAD. Number 7, 10 Peckham Avenue, which is an NOI. Number 8, East Ashland Street, also an NOI. Number 9, 339 Quincy, which is an ANRAD. And number 12, 511 Thatcher Street, which is an NOI. Those are all continued to the next meeting, which is Wednesday, November 15th.
And Madam Chair,
Yes.
if I may, when people go to look for the tape and for minutes, this will be listed as a special meeting because it's just a limited agenda for tonight.
Okay, so it is the exact agenda that was supposed to be done in October, so that there will be some, will there be some explanation there for the October meeting, or how is that? Is
Yeah.
there?
There will be information online that says what happened to the October meeting. So it doesn't just disappear.
Sure, okay, that sounds fine. Good, I was hoping that. Good. Okay, so the first item on the agenda then will be the acceptance of meeting minutes from the September 20th meeting. Commissioners, you've had a chance to read through those. Does anyone have any questions or edits or anything? Okay, if not, then I entertain a motion, please, to accept the minutes from the September 20th meeting.
I make a motion to accept the minutes from September 20th, 2023 meeting.
I second that motion.
Okay, the motion's been made and seconded. A vote, please, to accept the meeting minutes.
Bigler, aye.
Curtis, I. Green, I.
Map I.
Boris, aye. Minutes have been accepted. Thank you. Okay, number 2 on the agenda is an RDA for 82 Ames Street. And I believe we would start with that with a report from the applicant. Is the applicant here?
I am moving Bob into the panelist section. And Bob, is there anybody else with you? Is anybody else on your team? Would you raise your hand? And I think it's Bob on his own.
Hi, Bob. Could you let-
Robert? Oh,
Hi.
there's Robert. Is Tickman,
Robert
he's
Tucmini
coming.
as well.
he's coming in also. There he is.
Mr. Tucmani, I believe you're muted.
How's it going? Good afternoon.
Hi, Mr. Rego, Mr. Tucmani, how are you?
Good.
And your camera is off, sir.
Welcome. Okay, so we will start, I believe, with a report from you, from the applicant.
Okay, I guess for the record, my name is Bob Rigo. I'm with Riverhawk Environmental. We're here tonight for a request for determination of applicability for some determination of resource areas on a site at the intersection of Spark Street and Ames Street. The resource area question is a perennial stream which bisects the site. That stream exists and we're fully in agreement that it's a extension of Seals Brook. So it comes down from the upper portions of the watershed, maybe a mile to 2 miles to the north and west of the property, and then it comes through a significant drainage system. It's culverted. Almost the entire path of the stream has been put underground, and there's existing catch basins and connections to it along the way that drain into it. When it crosses the property in question, what we were calling a culvert opens up to the air. There's no top on it. It's a granite lined and stone bottom channel without any wetland vegetation. So our contention was that channel represents just an extension of the culvert. The original plans for that section across the property and into Spark Street shows a stone culvert with a basically granite slab top. So my argument is that's just the historic remnants of that culvert, which was installed in, I believe, 1949. And in accordance with the Wetlands Protection Act, when you have a culvert longer than 200 feet, there is no riverfront area associated with that. It stops at the beginning of the culvert, or I'm sorry, stops and ends with the culvert. So when it exits the culvert, it then becomes riverfront again. So that was our contention. I know the agent submitted a report that differed from that in terms of the findings. So we're certainly, open to discussion, and we'll take the board's decision on whatever it is, if it's determined to be within a culvert or if it's determined to be a riverfront area. And that's pretty much it. That's a summary for what's in question.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Tucmanian, do you have anything else to add?
No, I think Bob did a good job summarizing where we stand with it and what we're looking for.
Okay, well, thank you. So commissioners, I believe that there's a agent report that was listed here that explains what Kyle's understanding was of that wetland resource area. and where he determined that it was in fact a resource area, as far as the perennial stream according to the calculations of watershed and flow rate, that it would be considered a stream, and that it has banks, and that it daylights. Elise, as the representative of Beta, I don't know if you have any additional information that you might be able to
Sure.
provide. Thank you.
Yeah, and this is put in Kyle's agent report. But so we do, it is classified as perennial for the fact that it's greater than 0.5 square miles, right? For the watershed. The part that I think is the part for the applicant's kind of description is that where, although it is an open area, it has constructed banks, right? Because it's coming out from the culvert. I know in the past and kind of how it's described in the Wetlands Protection Act, that even a bank that is constructed and or was even created and was not previously there, despite the fact that it's man-made, it is still considered a bank. And so it is associated with the culvert, but by definition also has a bank of its own, and given the watershed size would therefore have riverfront area. So that's kind of the summary of what Kyle had said, but also just to add to the point about the banks being a man-made kind of constructed feature.
Yeah, I believe I've seen several places in the city where there are riverfront areas that definitely have constructed banks, that but they're still resource areas. So but I'm not an engineer, certainly.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Madam Chair, can I get the address of the property again? Ames Street, there it is.
82 Ames, and you said it was a corner of Sparks and Ames, correct?
That is correct, Madam Chair. Yep.
And what you have plans on continuing to develop that area, that lot?
Yes, there would be. This is part of, actually, there's an enforcement order for some work that occurred, so we do have to file for that. But
Right.
there are plans to yes, develop, kind of reuse. It's kind of a blighted parcel. It's just a place where people throw trash and needles and, so the goal is to turn it into something to get back on the tax base and be a usable parcel that's not just blighted. And just to add, I mean, I do not disagree with the fact that it's perennial stream. When we found the source as the Seals Brook, which the former agent did, we had a tough time initially finding it, but she drug out some plans from way back, and so we 100% agree. Yes, it's a perennial stream. It's, again, our contention is just that meets the definition of a culvert, which is a little gray. It's not a closed culvert, it's an open culvert, but almost the whole entire length of that stream runs through a culvert. There's not an area where it's like an open bank river, people would walk across it and know that it's a stream. It's culverted the whole way until it exits out onto our property or onto Mr. Tukananian's property. So that's our only contention. But if, like I said, if the commission disagrees with that, then we'll accept the findings and treat it as a riverfront.
Thank you. Commissioners, questions or comments?
I have a question.
Go
Has
ahead.
a notice of intent been submitted for the work that
No,
they plan and future plannings?
no notice of intent. We're just trying to get the resource areas straight, and then once we have those established, then we'll submit future plans and along with that a notice of intent.
In view of the pictures that we've seen in the past and from Agent Shaw and her enforcement order, and in conjunction with what Elise has said, I think it's been concluded that it is riverfront area and should be protected.
Any other questions, other commissioners or statements, comments?
I think. Um, I think just to clarify too, that ultimately the point here, as far as, you know, we do know that it's a perennial stream. I think that point is if it, I guess, the interpretation of the definition of culvert under the Wetlands Protection Act. And so that's where the debate is, that, you know, when it daylights and when it opens up in that area, is it still considered a culvert? So I think the commission, or not yet, but Kyle, and kind of in past discussions and research, it has been the current and past agents' perspective that where it daylights, you know, it might be culverted, but it might not necessarily meet that definition of being, I guess, a culvert under the Wetlands Protection Act, if there is even a definition for it, which I think is that gray area. So, you know, that is the sticking point there. If the commission does, you know, choose to say or to choose to vote that there is riverfront area, it would only be a 25-foot riverfront area per the city. And it would only extend, it would only be in that open portion of the culvert. It wouldn't be for the whole thing. Just,
So it's
I don't know.
only the daylighted section, or
Yes.
is really the area that is area
Yes.
of concern as far as bank and all of that?
Yes, as far as the riverfront area and the bank. Yep.
Could the applicant or somebody put the
Yeah.
map or diagram up?
You-
Because in,
Would you like me to share my screen?
could you please?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So what I'll do is I'll share. Can everybody see that?
Yep.
Okay, so this is Spark Street, Ames Street. There's an existing building here. The stone channel culvert, however we call it, runs through most of the property. It stops a little short of the roadway, of the layout of the roadway. And so it's open water through this section right along the side of the building. Basically, the foundation of the building is formed by the side of this structure, bank, culvert, whatever we want to call it. And then it runs across, it goes into Spark Street and takes a right-hand turn and goes through another culvert to the south, I guess that is. And then it comes across this property under a paved parking lot through a culvert with a closed top.
Okay.
And just could I share one more thing with the commission? This was the prior agent gave me this plan, which is a plan of Seals Brook. Here's Ames Street and Spark Street. This is
Sorry, can you point out Ames and Sparks? I'm not sure I'm following.
Can you see my cursor?
Yes, I do now. Thank you.
So there's Ames, there's Spark, here's the culvert bisecting the property. Here's a section of the culvert. They have it, this is a plan from 1949, drawn by someone in the city of Brockton. They have it called out as culvert section. And you can see how it's a stone channel, stone bottom, and a slab on top. So that was our argument, that this is a culvert, was designed as a culvert, was built as a culvert, and continues to be a culvert.
But it does say under there that it's the channel of Searles Brook.
Oh, absolutely. There's
Yeah.
no denying. This is the channel of Seals Brook. It's a perennial stream. It has the watershed size. It meets the flow requirements. So that's not a question. It's definition of culvert. That's
Madam-
Mhm.
Just as background information, Madam Chair, we have a lot of channelized water resources, whether they be brooks or streams, and including those that run through downtown Brockton that are still in channels, but are still treated with a the river front setback requirement.
Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, thank you. Laura or Lily? Sharifa? Any questions for Peggy, any others?
I don't have any questions. I read through the agent's report. It made complete sense. I remember before when we had this case before us,
Mhm.
and the decisions that were made. And I do agree with what Kyle, as the agent, has put forward with the +1 determination and +2B. I just think it makes sense. I don't see any reason not to agree with that, and I don't have any additional questions because I do remember this from 2021 and 2022. So
Remember the 2022 one.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Lily or Sharifa, any questions at all?
No, none from me.
Is there anyone from the public? If you could, just stop sharing your screen, thank you very much for
Oh,
doing
yeah,
that.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I'll
Oh,
stop
no, it's fine. I really like the old maps especially. Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak to this particular applicant or to this particular project? Or RDA? I don't see any hands raised. Lily, are you okay with everything that we've discussed?
Yeah, I read that the issue input, and since this filing is just about the enforcement of the culvert, I think just want to understand, even with what he's saying with it being planned to be a culvert, just how the current state of it, I don't feel comfortable calling it a culvert.
Yeah, it is exposed quite a distance across that lot. Yeah. Okay, well, nothing from the public and we're good with the commission. So the agent report, pretty much, what was it that Kyle said? He said that according to the calculations, he recommends that the commission issue a +1 determination, stating that stone line channel conveying Searles Brook is an area subject to jurisdiction under the Wetlands Protection Act, including the 25-foot river area and 100-foot buffer to bank. And then he also recommended that the commission issue a +2B determination, stating that the boundaries of the following wetland resource areas are not confirmed by this determination, regardless of whether the boundaries are contained on plans attached to this determination or to the request for determination for bordering land subject to flooding. And I don't know about you, but that's like a bunch of so what does all that mean? So Elise, do you think you could just kind of elucidate those two?
Yeah,
For the new
yeah.
commissioners?
Absolutely. So the first part is a +1 determination, which is basically saying that, you know, the area in question, right? And in this case, the area in question or the thing in question is the definition of or the applicability of riverfront area to something that's culverted and daylighted. So that's kind of where basically the commission would be saying, you know, yes, there is riverfront area to that daylighted portion of the culvert, even though the closed portion is greater than that 200-foot, which in the Wetlands Protection Act would mean that it doesn't have it. It doesn't have that riverfront area. The part 2, which is that +2B, is basically saying that, you know, there are other areas shown on that plan, but even though those are shown on the plan, that was not part of the actual request. And so it's basically just saying, you know, hey, we're not, by issuing a positive determination, we're not saying that those other areas are accurate. We're just focusing on this one area. And since the riverfront area and or the location of the bank, as far as like delineating it in the field, isn't necessarily what's in question. It's that classification of it having riverfront area. There isn't an official boundary per se that needs to be approved, which is why it's a +1 versus, you know, yes, these XYZ flags have been approved, if that helps.
Yeah, it does. It does very much. Thank you. Mr. Tukamian or Mr. Rego, any comments or anything?
I'm also.
Commissioners, you okay with all this? Okay, then if so, then I entertain a motion to close the discussion. For the RDA,
Make a motion to close the RDA for 82 Ames Street.
I second that motion.
okay, the motion has been made and seconded to close the request for determination of applicability for 82 Ames Street. Roll call vote, please.
Speaker, I.
Curtis, I.
Green eye.
Map I.
And Voris, aye. So that motion is passed. So the next motion then would be to, can we move to, for both determinations simultaneously, for both the positive one and the positive 2B in one?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So that would be the next then to issue a positive 1 determination and a positive 2B determination for the property at 82 Ames Street.
Make a motion to issue a positive 1 determination and a positive 2B as in boy determination for the property at 82 Ames Street.
I have a question. It says 2A in the agent's report. Is there a difference between 2A and 2B?
I believe that there was a 2A determination back in December of 2020. And
Right,
what I think what this determination does is say, we're not actually saying that that's true. What we're looking at is only the Stone Line Channel. Is that right, Elise?
Yeah, so Kyle did put a 2B, but then he also had kind of like a note underneath it relating to a prior determination where a 2A was issued. But for this project or this current RDA filing, he recommended a 2B.
okay, thank you for that clarification.
Yeah.
Good question, Peg. I know, it's all kind of a big alphabet soup, isn't it? I know. Okay. And so was the motion made? Was it seconded yet?
I'll second the motion.
Okay, motion has been made and seconded to issue a positive 1 determination, a positive 2B determination for the RDA at 82 Ames Street. A roll call vote, please.
Where I.
Curtis, I.
Green eye.
Map I.
And Voris, aye. Gentlemen, we look forward to your NOI.
Thank you very much. Appreciate
And
it.
thank you for cleaning up areas of Brockton too. Really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful night.
You as well. Good evening.
Okay. Let's see. The next item on the agenda, we said 82 Ames is done. Next item on the agenda is an amended order of conditions for 455 Oak Street, which is the Fuller Craft Museum. Is there anyone here representing the applicant? I see a hand up.
Tim Power is here. I'm moving him over. And Stephen, I'm moving over. Did I get Stephen? There he is.
Good evening.
Hi, Mr. Bernstein. How are you?
Good. Tim Powers should be on.
Hi, Mr. Power.
Yep, I'm here.
Welcome. Okay, so are we getting to the end of 455 Oak Street?
We are.
Good. Would you gentlemen like to, do you have a report that you'd like to present to us or any information per se?
Sure. Just briefly, just to recap where we were. At the last hearing, we reviewed the changes we're hoping to make. Kyle had a few recommendations that he'd like added to the plans. We added those, made those changes to the plans and submitted to Kyle, and I think his final report said those were acceptable and just had a few recommended conditions for the board to issue. I'm happy to answer any of the detailed questions, but I'll leave it there for now.
And it seems to me that there was also a walkthrough with Beta, is that correct?
That's correct. We did do a site walk with Beta. And so I believe some of the recommendations and changes were based off of that originally.
Uh-huh. Elise, did you want to share any information about that beta report? I noticed that there was one in the file today.
Yeah. So as Tim had said, we are not me personally, but Gary James from our office was there for a site walk, and there was discussion about what edits and updates need to be made. We did look at the revised plans, and all those discussions, all those items were included in the revised plan. So Beta, looked at everything. We confirmed that it complies with the local and the state stormwater standards. And recently, it would have been earlier this week, we also just kind of provided a little bit of a follow-up letter, just stating for the record that yes, those standards were met. We did also just have a few additional, I would say are relatively minor conditions, just kind of going off of some standard stuff. If either if you, Joyce, or if you want me to read it, just for the record, to make sure that the applicant is aware of these recommended conditions and that they're okay with them as well.
Thank you. If you don't
Yeah,
mind.
so we had recommended there are 5 additional conditions, some of which just go off of the original conditions in the order. The first one, which was one that Kyle had also recommended, and was recommended by Gary as well, was that a monitoring report be submitted to the commission within 6 months of the construction of the stormwater management features, just to confirm that they're working right, with photographs and just some observations of how it's operated during rain events. The other one was just refreshing any existing erosion controls on site, and that where work is going to be occurring along the western side of the driveway, that erosion controls, be installed there if they're not already installed. So just making sure we have erosion controls within work areas that are within 100 feet of resource areas. If needed, that the long-term operation and maintenance plan be revised to include stormwater feature changes from this order. That the special conditions presented in the order of conditions currently relating to restoration area and plantings be applied to the new plantings that are proposed. And lastly, that if there's any species that are unavailable when it comes to planting, that the applicant just provide a list of changes, just so that the agent and or commission can just say, yep, those substitutions are appropriate. So I think they're pretty standard conditions, and they wouldn't be an additional burden or anything to the applicant, but I did want to have those on the record so everyone was aware.
Okay, good. Thank you. Mr. Bernstein or Mr. Power, do you have the actual plan there?
I do. I'm happy to share.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I believe this is the latest plan. I'm happy to, our work area is really off to this side is where we've been focusing.
Mm-hmm. And that channel that's going to be increased to 4 feet.
Sure, that is probably not the best marker. That's here on the side between these two wetland systems.
Yep. Okay. And the position of the Cape Cod berm?
Sure, the Cape Cod berm was proposed along this edge, the western edge of the driveway here.
And stockpiling area?
Stockpile area shown here outside the buffer, just in some lawn area that we have for different materials.
Good. Commissioners, Elise? Any additional comments, any questions at all?
Really, I know as far as the agent had written in, as far as Beta's review, we would recommend the issuance of an amended order of conditions with special conditions as we provided, as well as Kyle provided in his agent report.
And And Mr. Bernstein, you okay with that? You good with
Yes.
that?
Everything's set, yeah.
Good, okay. You don't need to share your screen anymore unless any other commissioners would like to see any more details on the map. Thank you. Is there anyone in the public that would like to speak to this amended order of conditions? See attendees. I don't see any hands up. Then I would entertain a motion, I believe, to close the hearing.
Madam Chair, I just have one question in terms of the voting, since we spoke before about me abstaining on filings that came about before I was appointed as
Right.
commissioner, and this being one of them. I just didn't know if I have to like state it.
Nope, you can just refrain from voting because we will still have, thank you, but we will still have quorum. Thank you.
Okay.
Mm,
I make a motion to close the hearing for 455 Oak Street.
I second that motion.
So the motion has been made and seconded to close the hearing for 455 Oak Street, Fuller Craft Museum. Roll call vote, please.
Equal eye.
Curtis, I.
Map I.
And Voris, aye. That motion passes. The next motion then would be to accept the amended order of conditions.
I make a motion to accept the amended order of conditions and enforcement order. Per the conditions stated in Agent Holden's report
As well as the ones in the beta.
and the ones in the beta report too.
Okay, I think the enforcement order will automatically, does that automatically
Yeah,
come away as a result of the amended order of conditions?
it doesn't necessarily go away per se. It doesn't really, there isn't really a way to close out an enforcement order. It's more or less, you know, once the items as presented in the enforcement order have been addressed, then it's closed and it's good to go. It doesn't need to be a motion or anything. At this point, you would just be making a motion to issue an amended order of conditions.
Okay, well, then I restate that and to issue an amended order of conditions. And with the special conditions as outlined in Agent Holden's report in October of 2023. And the conditions as stated in the September 14th report from Beta.
I believe it's October 16th. Sorry,
Oh, I'm sorry.
that's okay. Okay,
Second.
so we have the motion made and seconded to issue an order, an amended order of conditions for 455 Oak Street, the Fuller Craft Museum, with special conditions as stated in the conservation agent's report, as well as the beta report of October 16th. Right, roll call vote, please.
Equal eye.
Curtis, I.
Map I.
And Vora's aye. So, gentlemen, save the craft museum. I hope it's not slippery this winter.
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you so very much.
I hope it goes well. Good luck.
Thank you very much again for your time.
Wonderful museum, by the way. Okay, next item. Let's see, so the next one is actually number 4, which has been continued. After that will be number 5, an amended order of conditions for 900 West Chestnut Street. That's the solar canopy construction at Knapp Center, which is the Lynch's Towing. Is an applicant here? Is there anyone? Mr. Daggett?
There's Scott. I'm moving Scott over now. And Scott, are you solo tonight or is anybody joining you?
He's still muted. Mr. Daggett, can you unmute yourself?
Yes, I
There he
just
comes.
have. All right, here I am.
Hi.
Hi, so my name is Scott Daggett. I'm the Senior Project Manager for Farland Corp.
Mm-hmm.
And I am going to be solo tonight. Christian could not make it.
Okay. Is there anything that you would like to present to the commission?
So, excuse me. So I think we had met the requirements that that Kyle had recommended to make changes to the plan to address some issues, namely with the proximity of one of the solar panels to the resource area, and also erosion controls, the addition of some erosion controls onto the plan, and a dewatering detail to the plan. So those are on the plans that we had resubmitted just recently.
And I think sloping as well, the direction of sloping for away from the resource area towards the.
Yes, so what we did was we directed the slope of the panels to the parking areas pretty much away from the resource area.
Okay. Commissioners, any questions at all of the applicant?
I do. The last time that we met, I had asked the question whether the overhang would affect the plants in that area, and I do see that in Agent Holden's report that portions of the solar canopies overhang the area that was originally approved. And some of those plants may suffer because of that, because they need they favor full to partial sun. Is
What agent report were you referring to? I thought that had been resolved. No?
October, August 15th, is that the old one?
Yeah, there was one.
Oh,
on
okay, I'm
October
sorry.
3rd. No, that's okay, but because I believe that they had addressed those issues and actually pulled back the positioning of those panels.
Okay, I apologize.
No problem, no problem. It's a good question. Because it was the reduction of size, I believe. If you look at if you look at the October 3rd agent report, they reduced the size of two of the canopies to remain within the approved limit of the parking area, and then sloped them towards the parking lot, and then had a dewatering plan. The agent's report also recommended that the amended order of conditions include the following special conditions: that no tree or shrub pruning within the restoration area should occur without prior authorization. At the time of construction of the anchor pylons for solar 1 and 2, that the contractor shall submit a report to the commission outlining the soil boring conditions and letting the commission know if measures outlined in the dewatering plan are required. So, Mr. Daggett, you're fully aware of that?
Yes, yes. So Christian and I both have a copy of the agent report, and I don't foresee any problem with addressing those two issues.
Mm-hmm. And the last special condition was just one that would not expire, and that was the snow removal from the area.
Yeah. I don't think the client would have any problem with that.
Any questions at all from commissioners? Well, Lily or Sharifa, I'm not sure if you were here before. Were you here for the hearings on the NAP Center?
I was.
Okay. So Lily, you'll be abstaining too, right? Because of okay, that's fine. Any members of the public at all that want to have anything to say about this amended order of conditions? I don't see anything in the attendees. No. Okay. If there are no other questions, there's a Q&A here. If there are no other questions, then I would entertain a motion to close the hearing.
I make a motion to close the hearing for 900 West Chestnut Street.
I second that.
So the motion made and seconded to close to close the hearing on 900 West Chestnut Street. Roll call vote, please.
Equal eye.
Curtis, I.
Nap I.
And Boris, aye. So that motion is carried. The next motion would be to, what's the verb? Not extend
To
approve.
issue,
Issue, thank you.
to issue an amended
Issue an
order.
amended
yeah.
order of conditions, thank you, for 900 West Chestnut Street. With the following, with the conditions stated in the agent report.
I make the motion to issue an amended order of conditions for 900 West Chestnut Street. Upon the receipt of an updated and completed application package, which includes the new dimensions of the solar canopies, the dewatering plan, the erosion controls, and the updates of the slopes.
I believe those were provided.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I believe that those were provided. So it would just be the ones that are in the agent report. I believe with the agent report of October 3rd.
Okay.
So the motion has been made to issue an amended order of conditions based on the special conditions in the October 3rd agent report.
Second.
That motion's been made and seconded. A roll call vote, please.
Equal eye.
Curtis, I.
Nap I.
And Boris, aye. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Daggett. I think you're ready to bring solar power to that area.
That's good news. Thank you for your time.
It is for us as well. Thank you. Mr. May, did you have your hand up?
Oh, no, I was the solar power, yeah.
Okay, good. Thank you. Okay, let's see. The next item on the agenda is also an amended order of conditions as well as an extension request for the revised Hope Garden Cemetery at 0 Hammond Street. Is there anyone, is there applicant?
I think that's Josh, is that correct?
Hey guys, can you guys hear me?
Certainly.
And is anybody else with you,
Perfect.
Josh?
I'm not sure if Jim Burke is on or not.
I see Jim
as a
here.
participant, but he doesn't have his hand up.
Promote him anyway. There he goes.
Hi, Mr. White. Hello, Attorney Burke. How are you?
Thank you. Yes, good evening.
Good evening. How are you?
Excellent.
We'll hear first from you, from the applicants.
Yeah, so I think, I mean, from the September meeting, the last meeting we were at, we got the agent's report, which basically states that he believes that there's a change in the scope of the project, so the project is expanding more than it was before, regardless of whether the impacts are more or not. And based on his recommendations, it sounds like we need to just file a new notice of intent in order to proceed with construction of this project. We had been hopeful to kind of work with the commission and not have to go that route to do a whole new filing. But it seems that because we're dealing with a new commission and the information is from the original filing and the amended in 2020, kind of seems like we're in a corner that we need to, we're not able to do the modification under the amendment. Just as an update for the commission, since that September meeting, we did get the botanist out there, the original botanist that did the flagging back on the original project. And the site has been reflagged. The flags have been located. We don't have it on a plan yet, so I haven't been able to figure out what the impacts are and all that. But we're working on that to kind of figure out where we need to go. But I think from the September meeting, I think we're just basically waiting for the commission to either decide on the amended order and the extension request. And again, I have another question I want to ask on the extension request. I don't know if I should do it now or wait.
That's fine.
So if we proceed, so if the commission votes to deny the amendment order and the extension, the current permit will expire in January. It's October 18th now. Your next meeting's the 15th of November. If we were, I don't think it's possible to get anything turned around for that meeting. So we're looking at December for a new filing that is most likely going to take more than one meeting. So I guess my question is, what happens come January? As far as the new notice of intent, have to file a certificate of compliance. I'm not sure if maybe Elise from Beta, if you have any insight on that, because that's just, I mean, it just seems like a whole lot of paperwork and it's just like a mess.
I can definitely answer that question. So if we're operating in this scenario that the amended order and the extension is not approved, what would need to happen is that before a new notice of intent filing could even take place, or before a hearing could be open on that new notice of intent filing, basically what would have to happen is a certificate of compliance request comes through, and in that request you would basically say, part of the work was completed. That sounds like maybe some clearing, erosion control installation, but the remainder of this work, whatever it be, XYZ, was not completed. And so then the commission, that would have to go through a meeting. The commission would have to, make a vote. And then once that order of conditions is closed out, a new notice of intent can be filed, allowing for a new order of conditions to be issued. The kind of once that January date hits and the order of conditions is expired, doing any work within a jurisdictional area would technically be a violation, right? Because there is no permit for working in those specifically, jurisdictional area, namely be the resource areas and that 100-foot buffer zone. The commission could, vote to deny an amendment, but issue an extension, vice versa, could do, deny both, approve both, there is some options there. But Mr. White is right that it is a little bit of a confusing, kind of convoluted scenario at this point in time. So it is a little bit overwhelming, to make a decision on it. But ultimately, if the commission chooses to deny both in this scenario, right, a new notice of intent filing, they get a certificate of compliance for the current order of conditions, a new notice of intent filing, it would definitely be a process. There would be stormwater management review, and I presume that would be something that might end up going out to peer review, given the stormwater management component. That would be up to the commission, however. So I would imagine that it would definitely take more than one meeting. How that all plays out, it is hard to say, but it would definitely push the continued work that the applicant would like to do as proposed in this amendment. It would push doing that work significantly. It would push it out for a while. However, that the timeline of this project, I know it has gone on for a period of time, which is why the commission has, expressed concerns in the past, from my understanding. I was not at the last meeting. But I hope that answers your question, kind of long-winded, but I think it covers everything.
Elise, I just want for clarification purposes. So would it be possible for them at the next, before the next meeting, to actually apply for the certificate of compliance for that piece that they've done.
Mhm.
And then at the following meeting, actually file for notice of intent. So that would mean November for that certificate of compliance, and we've certainly heard a lot about everything. So if that's a, you know, if everybody's comfortable with that, then go forward for the notice of intent with letting the, you know, you have to get a new DEP number, right? And then get get Butters know and all of that stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
But then at least that piece is actually in process at that point.
Yeah, I mean, they could start working on the notice of intent, right, at any point. They just wouldn't be able to have a hearing opened, which, you know, would probably be, in this best case scenario, would be the December meeting. It would definitely be, I'm sure, a significant amount of work to, even though they have this information, to put it into a whole new notice of intent filing. So, you know, not sure what timelines they have, but yes, that would technically be possible.
And if so, then there would be hearing on the whole, like, real project, the way that it is outlined now, would actually begin to start in December and not wait until January, or it would.
Yeah, that's definitely, yeah, that is definitely a scenario that could play out. I think that, you know, the bigger, not necessarily slow down, but the part of this filing that would take the most time would be the stormwater management review.
Which is Mr. May. Oh yeah, hi, Mr. May. There you are.
Hi, how are you?
We felt as though some of that stormwater management stuff just felt as though it was in flux the last time we spoke with the applicants.
The city is still doing the stormwater management permitting process. What is in flux is the composition of the board and composition of the authority who would make any changes to the regulations. But right now, the existing regulations stand in place. God help us.
Questions, commissioners? Any questions at all? Discussion?
I have a question. If we vote to extend the request or the amended order, what does that actually mean for the client to be able to do?
So, as far as extending the order would mean that, you know, the client has an active permit to do the work that was approved in the original notice of intent and you know, amendments that occurred after. So it wouldn't mean, an extension wouldn't mean that they can't work. It would just mean that as far as work in jurisdictional areas, which in this case would primarily be retaining wall installation to support that additional fill, where partially within some buffer zones, kind of that top corner of the site, work in those areas as desired under the amendment couldn't occur. So they can still work at the site, and they can do the work originally approved. They just wouldn't be able to do what it sounds like needs to be done to actually meet the goals of the project, which is basically, you know, an extension without an amendment will not get the applicant what they are needing is what it sounds like to do the project at this point in time. So you could issue an extension, but ultimately I think it might result in the client still needing to do a new notice of intent if the amendment is not approved or the client came out.
Mhm.
If that helps and doesn't confuse you more.
No, the original notice, and site plan, I think what we discussed at the last meeting was that it differs a lot, in fact, that the original plan did not include some of the work that they've already done on this last extension. And the stormwater management, I think, is extremely important. Even though one small area is directly in the area that they're deciding to work, but that area will be impacted by anything that they do that is not in that exact buffer zone area. So I think I agree with Kyle, Agent Holden, that they really need to issue a new notice of intent so that we can actually see what the whole plan, what the whole scope is, because just recommending an extension blindly with the plan being so altered from the original one 8 years ago, just doesn't give the client any guidance. And I think there needs to be some guidance here.
Madam Chairwoman, if I may, one of the things I thought I just heard from the commissioner was that we had done work that wasn't authorized under the original permit. I don't believe that's the case at all. I believe the work we've been done, it was consistent with the original permit, and I don't think we've extended beyond that.
No, I think you're absolutely right, Attorney Burke.
No, thank you.
I don't want to suggest that what Peggy was thinking, but perhaps it was the new proposed work is very different from the original work.
Thank you. But if I can, when you say we've got to come forth and tell you what we intend to do, that's exactly what the amendment is. That's exactly what the amendment is. We're telling you exactly what we want to do. And what I had in the last instance suggested, yeah, go ahead, give us the extension, be user-friendly, let us work within the confines of the original permit, and we will expedite, as we have, the flagging to make sure that we confirm exactly where the flags are and the impacts are in the resource area, put it on a plan, and bring it to you. If I thank you for doing the special meeting, but if you had not, I believe we would have been able to complete that for you so that we could have talked about that in November to put it on a plan. I don't think there's anything strange or untoward, nor do I think that there's anything here that the commission is unclear about in terms of the intent of the applicant and what he intends to do. I think that Ms. Tripp gave an excellent explanation of why I think you should give the extension, because I think the summation is the extra work that's now required by denying the extension, by not proceeding on the permit, is just, well, I use the term, Madam Chairwoman, not user-friendly. And I don't believe that there's anything that you haven't got before you that clearly identifies the impacts on the property. And I also tend to disagree. We could continue doing work under an extension that as long as it doesn't impact anew any of the resource areas under the original permit. And we'd be allowed to go back on site to do that work. So again, I understand the commission has the discretion to deny the extension as we have requested it, and not proceed with the amended request for order of conditions again, as we've suggested. I believe you have that discretion. I just don't think that from a business perspective, a developer perspective, and the mutual interaction with the permitting authority in the city, it's the way we want to go forward in the future, or is user-friendly. But that's just my opinion.
And I appreciate that very much. Our challenge is to assure that all resource areas are protected.
They are.
And the removal of vegetation, the changing in the slope, the plan itself is so very, very different from what the original plan was that was initiated with the original notice of intent, that it's difficult to accept that. I don't know if you've read through, I don't know if you read through the agent's letter where he got in touch with Mr. Poignant from the Mass DEP. Has the scope of the project increased? It certainly has changed. It's not just digging things out, it's building retaining walls and bringing.
But we haven't done that.
No,
We
no.
haven't done any of that work.
No, but
That's why you have an amendment before you to consider allowing us to do that, which could be handled without the necessity of starting anew with significant added expense, time, and delay. You're in January, Madam Chairwoman, you're going to be in the exact same place with the exact same documentation that you have in front of you today.
Except that we will be starting all over with a new notice of intent.
But why? Why put the developer through that? Why require him to do that when you don't need to, and it does not hinder your position, and nor does it give undue benefit to the developer? It's just basically the status quo.
I would like to just quote, if you don't mind, I'd like to quote, relatively minor changes that result in the same or decreased impact on the interests proposed by the act are appropriate for amendments. If the determination is made that the project purpose or scope has changed substantially, or that the interests specified in Wetlands Protection Act are not protected, then the issuing authority should not issue the amendment, but should require a new notice of intent.
Well, we haven't seen that, though. We haven't seen that there has been an impact on the wetland, an undue impact on the wetland. I think you've had Josh. Go ahead, Josh, please.
Yeah, I see what you're getting at, Jim, and it's a valid point that we since June when we submitted this, with the first comment that we got was to submit a revised drainage report showing the peak rates of runoff for this based on this design, because that was not done since 2016 or 2018, something like that. It was a while. But we submitted that, no problem, revised the calcs, submitted it to you guys. And to kind of be frank, Kyle said it was, I think he said he was looking at somebody's homework. Like it was just, it baffled me to get that response from him. But we submitted that in June and probably did the revised calcs in July. We haven't gotten any feedback on it. We haven't gotten any comments on that saying that there's more impact or anything like that. Other than the adding the retaining wall in on a portion of the site. Yeah, it might be a large portion of the site, but it's still a portion of the site, and a lot of it is outside the 100-foot buffer zone. We haven't had any documentation that we're not meeting those performance standards. There hasn't been any. There really hasn't been any discussion on that. It's just been, well, the line that you're using is old, and we want a new one. Like, in summary, in short, that's all we've been talking about since June.
Well, I believe that the performance standards would be evaluated by Beta, correct? Because of both stormwater and evaluation, and that evaluation.
Well, as far as I think the point that we're at this stage is basically so the commission is not obligated to at this point issue an amendment, or at any point they're not obligated under the Wetlands Protection Act to issue an amendment or to issue an extension, right? And should the commission choose not to, it's not something that's appealable, right? So at this point, it comes down to the wetlands themselves, right? They would have performance standards. Work and buffer zone does not have performance standards. There are, areas, there are times where things can be considered exempt, but I think that the thing that's in question, or the thing that is the concern, right, is that it has been a while. And so I understand that, new information has been submitted, but the commission reserves the right. And if they don't feel comfortable with either what's proposed or how long it's been, regardless of different assertions about this or that, right? The commission does not feel comfortable at the end of the day, then the commission gets to make that choice. So I think at this point, we're talking in circles, right? So I think it would be prudent for the commission to make a decision. I don't know that waiting for another meeting, even, say a new wetland line, I don't think that's gonna, or, showing the new flagging, whether it's the exact same or not, I don't think that that's gonna change how the commission is feeling. I don't, and I'm not sure exactly how the commission is feeling, that's up to you guys to determine, but I don't know that waiting another meeting is gonna have any significant change to what might be determined. And the commission can definitely disagree with that or agree. I see a lot of talking in circles, and I think for the sake of everybody's time and effort that's been put in so far on the applicant's part and on the commission's part, it would be best to just for the commission to just make a decision. It sounds like the information that has been requested was submitted. So it sounds like the commission has what they need to make a decision, regardless of if it's an approval or denial. And I think it might just be worth making that decision. But I obviously defer to you, Chairwoman, and to the commission on that.
Commissioners, any recommendations, comments, or concerns? Laura, any questions or comments? Peggy, Lily, Sharifa?
I think I would feel comfortable if Beta had a chance to review the area and the scope of work. That's how I'm feeling.
Well, if I may, Madam Chairwoman, you could do that by granting the extension, sending it out to Beta, and then having them do their peer review on the amendment, which is exactly where we'd be in January.
I personally am okay with what Kyle had suggested on his agent report. Like Lisa, like going in circles, and seeing that I am a fairly new commissioner and have gone back to research as much as I could about this project. My biggest thing is, like, why has it taken this many years? I don't know, like, if there's a time frame of when this should be completed or could have been completed. But again, being new, and I understand that where it is more work on the applicants, but I would feel more comfortable having a new notice of intent and, just like you said, with the scope of what's happening with this project. So.
Thank you, Sharifa. Laura, Lily, Peggy.
Sorry, I would agree with Sharifa on just being a new commissioner, not being able to vote on this, and just this whole. It sounds like the original was to remove, and downgrade the grade instead of filling. So just that's the section I'm just not sure on how that impacts the stormwater. It's just adding fill to it instead of removing. It just seems to me that that's a different intent of what the project's goal was.
which seems to me the largest stumbling block. That in fact, it is a different project and should be, should be under a separate NOI. So should we take Elise's suggestion and close the hearing? If we close the hearing, then we need to make a decision, correct?
And make a motion to close the hearing for 0 Hammond Street.
I second it.
So the motion has been made and seconded to close the hearing on 0 Hammond Street. All in favor? Oh, roll call vote, please.
Beekler, aye.
Curtis, I.
Map I.
And Vora's aye. Hearing's been closed. Now the decision has to be made whether or not to grant the amendment and the extension, or to deny the extension and the amendment. And that is up for discussion with the commission.
I do want to clarify that just to make sure that that this should be 2 motions, right? One for the amendment and one for the extension.
I mean, the fact that the hearing has been closed, we could postpone that vote, but I'm not sure that that would accomplish anything at all.
I would recommend that if the commission can, that a decision be made tonight. There is a time frame, and I believe Brockton has the 21-day waiver. But still, once a hearing is closed, there's a time frame to issue an order or issue an amended order, or etc. There's a time frame for that. So if Brockton had maybe 2 weeks meetings instead of 1 month ones, that could be feasible. But you would really need to make a decision tonight on both of those separately.
I entertain a motion then, either to extend the request or to deny the request for extension. How does the commission feel?
If we make a motion to extend the request, can we stipulate that Bader has to do a review?
I don't know that that's something that can be added to an extension. I do think that, ultimately, Beta could be asked to do a peer review. However, that isn't something that can necessarily be a condition or stipulation of issuing an extension.
And also, Peggy, if we did get a new notice of intent with new plans starting over, then most likely that would be reviewed, because there would still be the issues of stormwater.
Well, if that's the case, then I would make a motion to deny the amended order of conditions and extension for 0 Hammond Street. And
Why don't we start with the extension request then?
okay,
Okay,
all right, I make a motion to deny the extension request for 0 Hammond Street.
we would need a second.
I second.
Motion's been made and seconded to deny the extension request for 0 Hammond Street. Roll call vote, please.
I'm gonna abstain from the vote. What am I supposed to do?
Fine. So that's one abstention, okay.
Curtis, I.
Map I.
Voris, I. So that's 3 of the 6 commissioners. So I believe that that motion passes.
Yeah, it would have to be a quorum of who's present currently.
Okay. Okay. So Louis is exempt from voting
She
because it's
abstained.
before she started, yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, so that would pass then. The extension request is denied. Okay. So the next motion to be entertained would be to deny the amended order of conditions or not. But since the extension request has been denied, it would be difficult to get an amended order. So I would entertain a motion then to deny the amended order of conditions for 0 Hammond Street.
I make a motion to deny the amended order of conditions for 0 Hammond Street.
I second it.
Motion has been made and seconded to deny the amended order of conditions for 0 Hammond Street. Roll call vote, please.
I'm gonna remain abstain from the vote.
Curtis, I.
Map I.
Boris, aye, so motion carries. Okay, gentlemen, we look forward to seeing your new plans.
Yes, we'll be back in front of you soon.
Good.
We will.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Really, really appreciate it. Have a good evening.
You too.
You too.
And who is next?
What's that, Mr. May?
I'm trying to figure out who is next, so I can start moving them over.
Oh, okay, the next one, let me see. 7, 8, 9,
Goldfinch.
it would be Goldfinch, that's correct. 115 Goldfinch,
Oh, no.
correct. So that is,
Chris, I'm moving over. And I believe Miss Attorney Burke is on this also.
You're right. Thank you, Mr. Planner.
Is Richard Jones a part of your team, or is that another? Nope, that's another applicant. Sorry.
No.
hi,
Another
Mr.
case.
Sanderson. Hi, Attorney Burke again.
Yes. I think Chris is going to tell us Tom Pazerski is on a well-deserved vacation and could not make tonight's hearing. And Chris is an able stand-in. So you go ahead, Chris.
Good evening, everyone. Again, my name is Chris Sanderson, for the record with Merrill Engineers and Land Surveyors. And as Jim mentioned, I am covering for Tom Pazerski on this notice of intent application. So I know Tom gave everyone a pretty detailed overview of the project at the previous hearing in September. Since that hearing, we've been working with conservation staff, the agent Kyle Holden, on satisfying some requests, comments, and plan additions that came about during the last hearing. So since then, we've done so, submitted a couple sets of revised plans, as well as a detailed construction sequencing schedule. I'm happy to go over any of that information in more detail, but I believe the letter he has issued, it seems as he was satisfied with our additions. And also happy to try to answer any other specific project-related questions, but I'll leave it at that.
Do you have the sequencing plan there? Would it be possible to see that, Clay?
See. 1 second.
Thank you.
You know what? I actually, unfortunately, do not. So that was actually a narrative put together by the landscape architect. I only have the plans available. I apologize. But essentially, what it does that was requested at the last hearing is break out the project into 2 separate phases. And as you know, there's 2 notice of intents filed. The first portion being for the restoration work on the abutting property, and the second being the one we're talking about now for the pool and the pool house addition. So essentially, I do have a hard copy in front of me. I can run through it more explicitly if you'd like, but essentially we're doing, you know, the majority of the work for the restoration, getting all that stabilized on the abutting property. It does involve construction of a portion of the retaining wall on the subject property that is essential, you know, for the grading and stabilization operations. But once that is all stabilized, then we'll move over to the portion that involves the pool house patio and pool.
Okay. That's what I was just curious about.
And that was submitted to Mr. Holden and reviewed by him as well.
Okay.
Madam Chair, that's in the 920 folder in the commission's drive, so it's in there.
Just check that really quickly. Thank you. Those were the updated. Oh yeah, there's a construction sequence. Okay. Okay, I was just curious about the amount of time that perhaps would be required.
I do know that they're looking at getting going on the restoration portion as soon as possible due to the adequate growing season we're in.
Right, right, which I think is one of the reasons we're here tonight.
I believe so.
Okay. Commissioners, any questions at all? Any comments?
I feel satisfied that the work is moving along and the recommendations that Agent Holden has recommended has been started. I don't have any questions or issues.
Anyone else? Is there anyone from the public that would like to be heard? I don't see anyone else as an attendee. Okay, no questions? So I entertain a motion then to close the hearing.
I make a motion to close the hearing for 115 Goldfinch Drive.
Second,
Motion's been made and seconded to close the hearing for 115 Goldfinch Drive. Roll call vote, please.
Bigler, aye.
Curtis, I.
Green eye.
Map I.
Boris, aye. That motion has been closed. Entertain a motion then to issue a notice of intent for 115 Goldfinch Drive with the specified special conditions in the agent's report.
I make a motion to issue the notice of intent for 115 Goldfinch Drive with the special conditions outlined by Agent Holden for phase 1 and phase 2.
Second,
The motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor? Oh, one quick thing, Mr. Sanderson, that documentation of that restoration 1 before going on to the second phase would be required, right? We'd have to-
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
Do I
So-
need to reissue the motion? Okay.
Motion has been made and seconded then to issue a note of intent for 115 Goldfinch Drive. Roll call vote.
It would be issuance of an order of conditions. I apologize. I just wanted to,
Oh, an issue of order of conditions, I'm right.
yeah, yep, just to clarify.
You're right. I'm sorry. Of course you are. Well, you're here. Okay, issue an order of conditions for 115 Goldfinch. Roll call vote, please.
Bigler, aye.
Curtis, I.
Green, aye.
Map I.
I'm sorry, Lily, I didn't hear you. Were you voting in the affirmative?
Give a thumbs up or a
Okay.
thumbs down since you broke up.
Sorry, my internet, I guess. cut
Oh,
out.
okay.
Thumbs up.
And Boris, aye. Okay, that motion passes. Thank you. So that's good for 115 Goldfinch, huh? Good. The next item on the agenda would be very closely related, the West Elm Street Extension parcel for the buffer zone and floodplain restoration. Also, Mr. Sanderson, I believe, right, and Mr. Burke?
Correct. Yes, again, Chris Sanderson with Merrill Engineers and Land Surveyors for the record. So this notice of intent filing is actually for the phase one portion that will come first. As mentioned, the restoration of the West Elm Street extension parcel. And again, very similar to the last one. We've been working with Kyle Holden on addressing specific comments that came up on the last commission hearing and comments he had. So there were some plan additions that were revised, resubmitted. The same construction sequencing plan essentially goes along with this filing as well. And we feel that we have satisfied everything. And again, happy to answer any specific questions to this one as well.
Commissioners, any questions at all? Okay. I entertain a motion then to close the hearing on West Elm Street Extension.
Make a motion to close the hearing on West Elm Street Extension.
I second that motion.
Motion's been made and seconded. Roll call vote, please.
Equal eye.
Curtis, I.
Green, aye. No.
Map I.
And Voris, aye. Okay, so that motion passes. I entertain a motion then to issue an order of conditions for West Elm Street Extension.
I make a motion to issue an order of conditions for West Elm Street Extension with the conditions as listed by Agent Holden.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to issue an order of conditions with special conditions for West Elm Street Extension. Roll call vote, please.
Equal eye.
Curtis, I.
Green, aye.
Map I.
And Voris, aye. That motion passes. Happy planting, Mr. Sanderson.
Thanks, everyone. I appreciate the commission's assistance on this one. We're looking forward to getting things restored and getting moving on the other stuff.
We're looking
Thank
forward
you
to
very
seeing you. Out.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Burke. Okay, the very last item on the agenda is an enforcement order at 411 Warren Avenue. And I believe I see Helen Morales here as a participant. I know that.
Helen, I am trying to promote you to a panelist. You need to accept that invitation. There she goes.
Hello, Mrs. Morales. How are you? Ms. Morales? I don't hear any audio.
Hello?
There we go.
Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, good evening, everybody. I'm here. My name is Elena Morales. This is on behalf of 411 Warren Ave in Brockton. And September 1st, I owned the property on, is it 4 families on Warren Ave. I didn't know if it was wrong. I was trying just to create the path for my tenant to go to the property because I have no parking space. I don't even have a way if you buy one, furniture or refrigerator or, stove to bring it to the unit because I don't have a space from the other side. So I try to create the path to go to the back side. And when I bought the property, it was a lot of trash. And I tried to build the wall next to the house to create, because there was a lot of trash to go to the river. I was trying to protect the river on the side of my house because I saw on the other side, across the street, everybody building next to the river, but mine is not even that close. But when they came, they stopped me working. They shut me down. I have to remove all the tenants to put them in the, hotel and kind of stuff like that. So that's why they told me I have to come to this meeting today. And the thing I want to tell all you guys, I didn't know if it was wrong. I didn't even I was just trying to build the wall to try to make it a path to go to my backyard to give my tenant the way to have access to the backyard. This was the only thing I was trying to do. And I was taking some dirt from my basement to fill out the way, because the way my land is so it's difficult for people to pass there.
Yeah.
Didn't have any way even to. That's why I'm
So
here today.
Mrs. Morales, was it hilly before and you made it flatter? Is that what you were doing?
Yeah, I was trying just to make a way to go to my backyard because I don't have nothing. I don't have no way to pass. Even if I have one fridge, I have to go to my neighbor backyard for me to pass one fridge to my property because I don't have any way. And which I did before, my neighbor told me I cannot do this. I cannot trespass to his property. I don't have any way. I tried just to build, just to live just to level the sand and then create the wall. This is the way so we can pass to have a way to go to the backyard. Sometimes when I buy fridge or buy any furniture, there's no way for people to pass. I have to use neighbor backyard for me to do that. So they told me I was doing wrong, but I didn't know.
Yeah. The difficult thing is when you're building close to an area that's a river or a flood zone or anything like that, there are specific permits that you have to get from the city in order to be able to do that. And that's what our job is. Our job is to protect those wet areas. So that way they're, everything is done carefully. So the wet areas are not disturbed, so,
Yeah.
so that's our job.
And my intention, I thought it was protected because there was a lot of trash. I tried to don't let no trash to go to the river. That was my intention. I didn't know I was doing something wrong, which I didn't even hide anything until they came out to tell me to stop.
Yeah. Yeah. So when did you meet with, you met with the agent, right? With Kyle Holden? With Mr. Holden, did he explain to you what you need to do next?
Yes, he told me I have to come to this meeting and then to explain the way I explained to him, which is when they came out, it was I had my Maria Tavares. I think she's she worked with the City of Brockton. It was I think the board. There's a lot of people there. I don't know. It was so many people coming. I was stressful.
Ward counselor.
Yeah, board. I think it was building
department,
the fire department. There's so many people. I was so stressed. I didn't know if I was doing wrong.
How long have you owned that property?
It's not even just a couple of months. I think it was in November. I purchased November, but the property was trash out. I have to clean and do all the work and to make it a property live again. It was crazy.
And people that you bought that property from didn't say anything about it being so close to the river that that you had to worry about what you could do? The people that you purchased, the realtor that sold you that property never said anything about being adjacent to the river?
No, I didn't even ask him. I didn't even ask anybody because the first thing I see is I was checking the other side, the street. I saw everybody build the wall. I thought it was normal. I was trying just to build the wall, just to have a way for somebody to my tenant to pass. Because one day I remember they said there's no way to move the furniture in this house because no way for it to pass. We have to go to the neighbor house. That's why I was trying to say, I say, you know what? I'm just gonna build the wall over there to see if you guys gonna have just to elevate it for you guys to pass to go to the other side. But I didn't know if it was that crazy until they come out.
Well, the
So-
difficult part is the fact that you do need a permit to be able to do that work. And now that some work was done, if there's an enforcement order, which means that you have to take that work down and then do it the correct way with a permit.
Okay, yeah, I can do it.
Yeah, so you would need to get in touch with an environmental scientist, I believe. That would be the first step, where they would be able to guide you to explain to you what the right way would be to do it.
Okay,
And
okay.
I believe all of the enforcement order information should be there from Kyle, and you can certainly get in touch with him in a couple of weeks, I believe, to get guidance from him on exactly what to do next.
Okay, yeah, the only thing I wanted just to have a way to go to my property. That's it. Whatever they told me to do, I can comply with.
All right. We really appreciate the fact that you came tonight. I think I saw your name at the last meeting, but the last meeting went on very long. And yeah.
Yes.
So
I appreciate you guys and thank you so much. It's my first time. I wasn't understand anything over here about. I said, let me see.
I'm
They
sure
can
that
call my name.
I'm sure Kyle will be in touch with you, Kyle Holden. I'm sure he'll be in touch with you to explain the next steps.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys.
Thank you for coming tonight. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Bye-bye, guys. So I'm all set to leave?
What? Thank you.
All right, bye.
Very much. Okay. So with that, I believe that's that would be the end of our meeting. Mr. May, if you can help us get access to
I'll work on that.
that would be great. That would be great. Thank you. And yeah, so I entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. I don't think we need a roll call vote for that, do we? If we all say aye,
You can if you want.
you can just say aye.
Good night,
Aye.
everyone.
Hi.
Bye.
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 Thank